We are certain that this regime has used chemical weapons against the Syrian people.
The White House says that it still needs conclusive evidence.
President Barack Obama, with all due respect for him, the price of the first child who died in Daraa is far more important than waiting for conclusive evidence of use of chemical weapons for him to do something. That was too much of a price for the Syrian people, and too much of a price to be placed on the conscience of America.
This is a very dangerous job. You've made yourself a target of the Syrian regime. Are you frightened?
I am not frightened, actually. I do recognize the risk of doing this job, but my dear, somebody has to do this. We cannot all sit idle and see this man slaughter the Syrian people.
Syria's civil war has now been grinding on for more than 2 years. Horrific violence. More than 70,000 people estimated to have died. Cities destroyed. More than 1 million Syrians have fled their country. Many of them are now living in refugee camps. Is there any hope that the Syrian opposition can win this war and bring the violence to an end?
This is not a civil war. This is a dictator who is attacking his own people. This is a dictator, by his own admission, said that the revolution was peaceful. To its 7th month, from the first day, this man, Bashar al-Assad, and his gang have faced this peaceful revolution with live bullets and live ammunition. He brought in tanks to stop these demonstrations. So when we describe it as a civil war, we describe as two parties fighting. This is the man who forced Syrian people to take in arms and defend themselves. This is the right of the Syrian people to defend themselves.
But can you win?
Of course we can win, but we need help.
The argument against US intervention is that this is a messy, complicated war, and that if the US arms the rebels, it has no guarantee as to where they will end up.
Look, first of all, when we ask for the United States and others to interfere and help us, we are not asking for boots on the ground. We are not asking for any US soldiers or any British soldiers or any foreign soldiers to come in and put their lives at risk.
Give me some specifics. What do you want from the US government?
What we need from the US is to surgical strikes of all the launching pads of the Scud missiles. These locations are known to the intelligence community. That's one. We need an establishment of a no-fly zone. We need safe passages to be established so we can deliver aid to the Syrian people more effectively and more regularly.
There are several Islamist groups on the ground in Syria. One of them, the Al-Nusra Front, is linked to Al-Qaeda. It's very powerful in northern Syria, and it's designated by the US as a terrorist organization. What are you doing to counter Al-Nusra's influence?
This ideology is foreign to Syria, is foreign to the Syrian people, and this government and the Syrian people rejects it and will do whatever it takes to prevent it spreading in the future.
You spent more than 30 years living in the US. You've been a US citizen for more than 25 years. What have you learned or experienced in the US that is helping you do this job?
I've learned many things that make me the person who I am today. I learned that the democracy is something that is an excellent system, something that the Syrian people can adopt and give it a chance.
Isn't there a problem that even when this war ends, it's unleashed so much chaos, so much violence, so much hatred, that there may not be much hope for a unified, peaceful Syria in future?
It is a complicated situation, but delaying any action will make the situation worse. Waiting more of doing nothing is going to make what you have described worse. So yes, it is complicated, but I think there is hope. There is a lot of optimism. I am very optimistic.